Good morning. Thank you for joining us today. We feel excited and honored to be able to have the opportunity to share with you the presentation that we have poured so much of our sweat, blood, and tears into over the past couple of months. We are Peak Power Performance. We are a strength and conditioning facility that is dedicated to the evidence-based development of strength and performance in our athletes that step foot within our walls. I want you to stop for a second with me. Imagine you're 17, you're the starting running back for your high school football team, and you feel that the weight of the world is upon your shoulders. Well-meaning coaches and parents are coming from every direction telling you that you need to make sure you're playing in college, or that this next season is going to be the most important season of your life for college recruits, or complimenting the potential you have, but truly giving you no tools on how to get there. You have well-meaning parents and well-meaning coaches, but your coaches have a weight room of 30 other students and athletes that they're also having to train. You're not able to have one-on-one individualized time for your sport, your position, and you as an individual athlete. That is where we come in. You as an athlete step foot into Peak Power Performance, and you are able to have that individualized one-on-one attention with our state-of-the-art facility and our very knowledgeable coaches. You have always been praised and seen for the potential that you have, but now for the first time, you are seen as the athlete that you are. For the first time, you now have the ability and the tools that you need to fully reach your peak power performance. That is our goal here at Peak Power. Our mission statement is that as a facility, we are wanting to provide a welcoming environment for athletes to excel in their respective sports. We aim to introduce and instill training habits that derive from scientific evidence. We strive to better our clients, both as athletes and as people as a whole. Our athletes will fully understand how to train intentionally, consistently, to elicit high levels of performance while reducing injury. This mission statement is going to be echoed and mirrored throughout all of our facility, from the design to the philosophy and to the implementation. And with that, let's move on to our goals.
So here at Peak Power Performance, we have a few facility program goals. We have goals because we want to hold ourselves to a high standard and to establish ourselves as a high-level facility. We also have goals because we want to be intentional with our energy and to focus on what really matters. And what really matters is creating a quality product. And for us, that product is creating elite athletes or producing elite athletes. And we're going to do that through our various goals. And our goals are to reduce injury, increase sport performance, introduce and instill a science-based training, and to create a home. So let me get into reducing injury. We'll do that through 4 different methods. First is going to be teaching general gym safety. Next is by utilizing proper warm-ups and increasing core temperature and making sure our athletes are primed and ready for the workout or the training session. Next, we'll preach using safe technique, like using neutral spine angle and using clips and anything else that would make just a safe gym experience, from back to general gym safety with the clips, or using safe technique with a neutral spine angle. And next we have programming. We want to be able to on-ramp our athletes at an appropriate manner, and we want them to be ready for the movements that we're going to introduce to them. And we also want to strengthen them and make sure that they're ready to go and compete in their sport and do well. We want the training to match the rigors of their sport. Next, we want to increase sport performance. We're going to increase sport performance through our individualized programs, and as you'll see later in the PowerPoint presentation, we'll go over a couple microcycles and we'll be able to explain a little bit more about that. Our next goal is to introduce and instill science-based training. We want to introduce the programming. That's when the athletes come and we give them an individualized sport-specific training program, and we want them to be able to understand and take with them the why behind what they're doing and exactly what they're doing. And we want them to be able to take it with them for the rest of their lives, because a lot of the athletes we're going to be training are going to be moving on to either collegiate athletes, or they're going to be they want to be active in some shape or form moving forward for the rest of their lives. So we want to be able to provide that service for them. And lastly, we want to be able to create a home at Peak Power Performance. We want to create a staff and have them be as helpful as possible to our athletes and just be as helpful as possible. And we want Peak Power to be a place where the athletes can come to and just enjoy training at.
The first step in designing our facility is the pre-design phase, which consists of the space needed, the athletes, and the equipment we'll have within our facility. The space we need is 21,458 total square feet with 14-foot ceilings. Currently, we have 4 high school affiliations that we'll be working with the intent to connect with more schools because we have adequate equipment. And then we have the exercise spaces with bench presses, bicep curls, back squats, and our aerobic equipment. The second part of our pre-design phase consists of our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. A strength of ours that we're very happy about is being the leading performance facility here in Jacksonville, as well as having very highly trained team members to work with our athletes and our non-athletes. A weakness that we're working on is limited parking during our busy hours, as well as having issues with coordinating with our athletes' busy schedules. An opportunity is Jacksonville being a highly populated area with many athletes to work with, including many schools, as well as many non-athletes that will want to attend our gym facility. And threats, 2 of the main ones we wanted to mention was possible lack of funding and lack of marketing.
All right, on to the second component, our design phase. Our design phase is going to be comprised of the blueprint and design of the facility, our facility layout and how all the equipment fits in, along with the traffic and flow of the facility. So first, blueprint and design. The blueprint and design is going to be made up of 3 strategic components. The first is going to be that the facility is one single room. Second, we're going to have proximal staff offices to that facility. And third, we're going to have an on-site athletic training facility. As you can see here, we very strategically chose to put all of our equipment in one room. This is going to enable community between coaches and clients, along with coaches being able to have a more hands-on experience with their clients. Additionally, this is going to allow coaches to have a full view of the clients working out in their facility. Moving into our proximal coaching offices, each of our offices are going to have windows out onto the floor so that coaches can keep an eye on their coaches and also on their clients. Lastly, our athletic training room is going to be fully stocked for both recovery and assessments. Moving into the next, our facility layout. Our facility layout has been very strategically designed to have every aspect that our athletes could possibly need to be able to move from one section to the next seamlessly and without being in the way of others. Our facility layout includes a stretching and warm-up station, cardiovascular, free weights, a turf area, both platforms and racks, along with standalone equipment. Within this, we've also ensured that we include a lot of floor space, both for either free weight, for stretching and warm-ups, or additionally to help with the flow and traffic of the facility. For our flow and traffic, we wanted to make sure that all of the rooms adjoining our facility were easily accessible without being in the way of athletes that are working out that day. Because of that, our locker rooms are easily accessible along with our coach's office and the hallway to our AT room. This will enable clients who are coming in on a day that they're not wanting to train to not be in the way of those who are training. Last but not least, we have also made sure that our entire facility is a single floor with an accessible entrance. We are ADA compliant in order to enable everyone who wants to use our gym. I also wanted to go ahead and bring to your attention a 3D model of our gym. As you can see here, we are going to be fully stocked and equipped to serve our clients. Additionally, we're going to have windows from all of our staff offices onto the floor to make sure that clients are both performing ranges of motion along with their form correctly. Now, onto pre-operation. Okay, so the third step to making our facility a reality is going to be the pre-operation phase. So one aspect of that is the interior of our facility. We strive to be a facility where an athlete can walk in and have absolutely nothing in their hands, they brought nothing with them, and they have everything they need to have a great workout. So we've tried to reflect that welcoming feeling into our facility. Another important aspect is having qualified and competent staff. We want to ensure that not only our staff are qualified on paper, but they're also competent and confident in real-world situations. Another important thing is staff development. So we want to make sure that our staff is up to date
on the current literature and research. So every week, at the start of every week, every Monday, we're gonna have weekly meetings, all staff meetings, where we can sort of bounce off ideas and talk about our week that just happened and talk about the upcoming week. And then we're also gonna have one person bring in research or literature to share with everybody else so that we can all stay up to date. And then as far as cleaning and maintenance goes, our interns are gonna be largely responsible for that. They're gonna clean, maintain, and also sanitize our facility. And then next I'll go into scheduling and budgeting. So our facility is gonna be open 7 days a week. Our schedule is right there, the next bullet point. Whenever we do not have a team that is scheduled, our facility will have open hours for all of our other clients or athletes to come in and work out on their own. And then they'll also have access to our staff members upon availability. So down here we have sort of a tentative schedule for spring of 2022. As we said earlier, we currently have 4 teams that are already working with us. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday we have baseball, volleyball, and golf. Tuesday we have softball. Next I'm going to go into probably the most important part, which is as a private facility you need to be making a profit. So we have sort of 4 main ways that we think we're going to make a profit. First is a membership. It's going to be $55 a month. The second is going to be our team training. So it's $30 per athlete per session, or the athlete can pay sort of a lump sum at the beginning of the semester, $350. And then if they do happen to have the $55 a month membership, then team training is free to them. Another important thing that we have is our assessment tools. So we have a bod pod, in-body, and VO2 testing. We'll charge for those assessments, and then depending on whether you have a membership or not, prices are a little bit different, but we think that'll be a great way to not only make some money from our clients and from our facility members, but also just the community in general. And then lastly, we have drinks and snacks available to our clients and to our members. Next, we're gonna go into some more details about our client population.
Regarding our client population, we are going to strive for high school athletes, and we want to be able to build these athletes not just as athletes for their future career, whether it's playing in college or just coaching for other teams, but we want them to have great overall health. And some of these benefits that our facility is going to provide them is, 1, physiological. We want them to have improvements in strength, improvements in their explosiveness, great body awareness, and also improve their athleticism. We also want to provide them some psychological benefits, which would be improving their self-esteem, their self-worth, their confidence, feeling great about their body, because their mindset plays a big role in how they're going to play in their sport. If they feel like they can't do it, then they're not going to play well, so we want to make sure that we build up their mindset. And lastly, we want to give them overall health benefits. So not just focusing on winning a game or a championship, we want them to improve their cardiovascular endurance, improving their muscular strength, strengthening their bones, and also limit them from having any kind of sport injuries or help reduce that. And to go further into this, our coaching philosophy will explain how we're going to achieve this.
Alrighty, so now for our coaching philosophy. For our coaching philosophy, we're going to be committed to 3 core commitments. The first is going to be increase in performance, increase in both their sport-specific performance along with performance across all health outcomes. The second is going to be a decrease in injury. We're going to do this through prioritizing form and range of motion and advocating for proper sleep, proper recovery, nutrition, along with training in and out of season. Lastly, and our third commitment is going to be developing powerful humans. This is going to encompass both the coach and athlete relationship, that we deeply care for our athletes as more than just an athlete, but also as an individual who experiences life outside the gym with all of the highs and lows that accompany it. These 3 core commitments are going to be what undergird the building blocks of our training. Our first building block is going to be ground-based movement. This is going to require athletes to be using force production from the ground, simulating what they're going to experience in most of their sports movement. The second is going to be multi-joint movement. This is going to be more time efficient and cost effective for our athletes as we're able to train more musculature at once. Additionally, this is going to increase in stability and also help with their sport-specific movements. The third building block is going to be our 3-dimensional movement. Like the others, this one also simulates more sports movement, helps with the reduction of injury, and also ensures that athletes are moving through all 3 planes of motion. The fourth principle is going to be our overload principle. This is that for adaptation to occur, athletes need to train at a level higher than accustomed to. We're going to do this through increases in both volume, intensity, and duration. Our fifth principle is going to be our principle of specificity. This has been interwoven into every other training block that we have. This means that athletes are going to train for their specific sport to grow in their performance and to decrease injury. The last is going to be periodization. We are going to have our athletes broken up into an annual year, both with in-season, off-season, post-season, and preseason. This is going to allow for adequate recovery along with peak performance when they need it. All right, and moving on to our salaries for our coaches who are going to be doing this.
So next we're going to talk about salaries and our staffing. So based off the cost of living in Jacksonville, that's how we assigned or gave these salaries to our staff members. So we're going to have one director of strength and conditioning. They're going to have a salary of $85,000. But for them to have this salary, they need to be able to have a master's degree. They need to be able to have some sort of leadership position in the past, have some sort of knowledge on that. We want them to have a certification, mostly NSCA or CSCS. And then lastly, can they manage a weight room? That's going to be one of their major responsibilities at our facility, but we want to make sure they know how to handle that. Next, we're going to have 2 assistant strength and conditioning coaches. They're each going to get paid $50,000. They can have a bachelor's degree from an accredited university, but we prefer a master's degree. We would like them to have some sort of professional certification. Also, CSCS is preferred. We want them to have been trained in CPR, AED, and first aid training, considering we'll be working with athletes, so minors. And then lastly, they need to be able to know how to teach a skill and analyze an athlete when they're doing some sort of exercise to make sure they can correct their technique.
And then we're going to have 2 athletic trainers, both getting paid $50,000 each. They must be licensed or eligible to be licensed in the state of Florida. They must be able to prevent, assess, treat, and recondition athletic injuries, as well as have a master's degree in athletic training. Some of their responsibilities will consist of being a liaison between athletes, coaches, parents, physicians, and other people surrounding them, and also assist with the sports management director. The secretary is going to get paid $35,000. They'll be responsible for answering and directing phone calls, planning meetings, and taking detailed minutes at the meetings, as well as developing and maintaining a filing system and providing general support to our coaches and athletes. Some of the qualities that we'll need them to have is 1 year of bookkeeping, which will be preferred, as well as an associate's degree, and it will be preferred for them to have worked in a strength and conditioning facility in the past. We'll also have 3 interns. Mainly they'll just be there for the experience, to gain direct access to the facility and our athletes and coaches, but they will get a $1,500 stipend per semester.
Next, we're going to talk about our measurements of performance.
So at Peak Power, we have some state-of-the-art equipment that can measure performance of our athletes and also measure the performance of our programming. So in respect to muscular strength, power, and speed, we have trap bar deadlift, max weighted chin up, safety squat, bar squat, and dumbbell bench press. And those will all be streamlined at 5 RM. We think that's safer for our younger athletes, and a lot of the athletes won't have had resistance training experience in the past. So we think 5 RM is the best way to go with that. And we also have hand grip dynamometers. Well, that'll be a part of the daily monitoring of our athletes. And we'll have vertical jump, med ball velocity, barbell velocity, 10 and 40 yard flies, and a 5-10 5-yard drill. We also have body composition data, cardiorespiratory endurance. We'll have VO2 testing and heart rate sensors will be used maybe coincidingly. We'll also have functional movement screening in respects to measuring the flexibility of our athletes. And let me go back to body composition. We'll have both the in-body and the bod pod, which is state-of-the-art equipment that can give us valuable data that we can track over time. And all of this data that I just mentioned will be tracked using Google Sheets or spreadsheets, and it'll be tracked over time to evaluate not only the progress of the athletes, but the progress of our programming and what adjustments we need to make to improve upon and what have you.
All right, so next I'm going to talk about one microcycle. It's off-season high school volleyball. So our needs analysis, as far as the movement goes, there's a lot of running, jumping, setting, hitting, serving, a lot of overhead actions, and then a lot of full body lower extension movements. As far as muscular involvement, pretty much all major muscle areas, especially the lower body, and then it is considered a shoulder and hip heavy sport. That'll be important when we talk about our program. And then the main things in this sport are strength and power. So as far as the team goes and their training background, it's sort of a mixed level as far as their experience, but the team just began resistance training at the beginning of their last season, at the beginning of fall, doing free weight and machine exercises. During this program, during their preseason, they completed a two time a week resistance program with lightweight and light intensity, and their classification is beginner. Their primary goals out of season is going to be to gain strength and to gain power. And then because these athletes are less experienced, they are on a 2 time a week split. So on Monday and Friday, they do resistance training, and then on Wednesday, they have speed and agility training. So here is the microcycle. Like I said, Monday and Friday, they do strength training, and then Wednesday is speed and agility training. So basically how it's split up is on Monday and Friday, they have 1 core exercise with 5 accessory lifts, and then it's split half and half. So they do 3 upper body exercises and 3 lower body exercises. Like I said, it's a hip heavy and a shoulder heavy sport, so it's really important that we are moving through full ranges of motion, especially in the lower body, correctly and safely, but that we're training in the full range of motion, and then also incorporating exercises that are protective of the shoulder and the hip, and then also the knee, as females that play volleyball are almost 5 times more likely to have an ACL tear. So we've included a lot of exercises that are to strengthen those areas of weakness you can sometimes see in these athletes. And then of course we have mobility, foam rolling, stretching at the end of every exercise, and then also a dynamic warm-up and focusing on shoulder and hip mobility at the beginning of every exercise. Next, we're going to go into our second microcycle, which is an in-season baseball program.
So our next microcycle is baseball. It'll be in-season baseball program. The movement analysis starts with the sport, and the sport of baseball is repetitive throwing, swinging, it's ballistic actions overall. The next thing is major muscular involvement. Primarily is going to be revolved around the glenohumeral and coxofemoral joints, as well as almost all muscles in the body. And the primary requirement for the program will be power. So a little background on the team is the team has gone through a 3-month accumulation phase and a 3-month intensification phase, and they have safely progressed over that timeline, and they have knocked out any poor movement patterns so they can successfully move on. The classification of their training status is between intermediate and advanced according to NSCA guidelines. And the primary in-season training goal will be to increase strength and power, as well as adding a little bit of hypertrophy. Okay. So this is the proposed program plan for the baseball team. It'll be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, full body routines, and for each day there will be a main lift, which in this case is a SSB box squat, dumbbell floor press, and a sumo deadlift will be paired with a plyometric. And the next superset will include a power focus, but as well as a strength component. The third superset will include also a power or a strength component as well as a little bit of a hypertrophy and prehab component. So these are some of the NSCA sport programming guidelines that we use for both microcycles to achieve the adaptations that we want. And here's how we'll be able to estimate the 1RM and to prescribe our athletes the proper load throughout the training program. The easiest way will be the 5 rep max, and we'll be able to convert that to the 1 rep max easily. And another way is by tracking RPE and reps and reserve data across training sessions and specific sets and reps over time.
At this time, we'd like to thank you, the investor, for being here today for our facility presentation. We are so excited to make this dream a reality. That being said, we would love any feedback you would have to better our facility. We look forward to speaking with you in the future.